How's it going, everyone? Welcome to episode 35 of the ControllerCast. My name is Ursel, joined as always by Senor Andrew Eisenhower and Jonathan Bradley Wood. How's it going, guys? Andrew, what have you been up to since our latest episode?
Well, it has been extremely cold here in good old Omaha, and I ended up having to get a new car battery yesterday, which sucked ass. But now my car is cooking, and this week has been kind of eventful. I had a couple of important things in my personal life, and then just chilling and cooling out. And I played through Pokemon Black, and as tradition would ensue, I marathon the last 9 hours of the game all in one sitting. So always
That's
good for
insane.
myself to just burn myself the fuck out. But yeah, I had that game on my top 5 underrated media, and I would definitely have to push that up the ladder on that because I forgot how good the story actually is in that game. So I put that as like the most underrated media that I have been a part of. So it's quite the journey. I got it because I wanted to be able to move all my Nintendo DS mons over to my Switch, and I beat the whole game, figured out I still need to buy another game to do it. So it's just not fun.
Got to spend $65 a pop on those DS games.
No, I have to get one of the 3DS games. I'm trying to find like just this like bum ass used copy that I can use for like 2 minutes, and then
I wonder if GameStop would have any bum ass used copies.
I checked. They're all like still like full price, but
Jeez.
I found some on eBay. They're like 15.
Yeah, GameStop is terrible for finding old games, honestly.
Yeah,
especially
GameStop
cartridges.
Oh, yeah, you might like if it's a cartridge game, you might as well just like not even try because
I remember when I was trying to buy Red Dead Redemption, I had to go to Gamers to get it because
Gamers.
Because they sell like a bunch of used games there, but I couldn't find it at GameStop.
Yeah, so I'm trying to just find somebody that has a copy that I can just use quick or something because I just need to pop it in and transfer everything. So we'll see. Nintendo has to make all the hoops necessary to get easy things done. So it'll be fun.
Nintendo makes things a pain in the ass.
But yeah, that's been my week. It hasn't been very eventful, but it's been full of stuff.
Well, I'll go next. I've been doing pretty well. I am super, super duper tired of this cold weather though. Like, we have a dog. If anyone that's listening doesn't know, I'm sure you do, but he loves the cold. I don't get it. He loves that shit. And Thad, who will be joining us in a couple weeks actually as a special guest, shout out Thad. He told me that dogs prefer actually walking against the wind because it makes it easier for them to like smell things. And Augie's no different. So like in these 40-mile-per-hour wind gust days where it's like -25, we've been walking against the wind. So I'm surprised I haven't got frostbite yet. But besides the cold, we've been doing really well. Casey and I got our baby registry all put together. We have it through Target. See, Target makes it easy, but also kind of difficult at the same time to put it together because they have like categories of things that you like should consider for your baby. And it takes you through these categories, but there's 94 categories of things that you need. So like Casey and I were like, we're going through the categories, making sure we're not forgetting anything because this is our first kid. We don't know, what all we need. So we're relying on Target a little bit, but they had 94 categories. So it took us like 3 hours and we didn't even add clothes or toys. And that was like 20 of the categories because we're like, people will probably get us clothes and toys. Like we're not going to add a bunch of specific stuff for that. But that was a lot of fun to do and got us really excited. Never thought I'd be excited about like baby stuff, baby toys, and like like cribs and shit, but like it's really exciting. Makes me want to be a baby again.
I'm baby.
Goo gaga baba.
There's some like they have like these they have like these play mats and shit that actually look super hype. Like I wish I had this stuff when I was a baby. They have like play mats where your baby, like when they have tummy time, they have a bunch of like they have like mirrors they can look at. They have like sound things that they can like mess with, and it's all really cool actually. Other than that, we had a really nice dinner at Dante out here out west here in Omaha. If you've never been to Dante, I highly recommend. It's kind of like a bougie Italian restaurant, I would say. Amanda and David, shout out to them for taking us. It was their Christmas gift to us. And we had a 3-course meal along with drinks and bread as well. I got this really good salad and also had some of the black truffle potato soup, which was chef's kiss. And then I had like the margarita pizza, which was amazing. And their dessert was amazing too. Like it's the whole package. I highly recommend going there if you have some extra cash. And then also my cousin Taylor put together a night on the town at Tiny House Bar, which is over on like 14th and Center-ish in Omaha. And it's really cool because the bar's like, it's kind of like a tiny house. They have a drive-through that you can get drinks at, which is really cool. And then their bar itself is pretty small. It's kind of like a lounge, but there's like 4 tables. But the really cool thing about it is that you can rent, well, not really rent. You just reserve this bubble that's outside, and it's heated or cooled depending on the time of year. And there's like enough room for I think up to 12 people, and it's actually a lot bigger than you'd expect.
That looked huge.
Yeah, it was massive. We had my cousin Megan, her husband Andy, Taylor, me, Casey, Amanda, David, and we had room for a few more. And we played New Phone Who Dis, which is like from the makers. It's a card game from the makers of What Do You Meme? And there's like, it has a text, let's say from mom, that's like, oh, like, glad that you got that mole removed finally or something. And then like you can reply with a bunch of like raunchy shit. Like it's really fun. It's kind of like Cards Against Humanity or What Do You Meme a little bit. But I think it's a lot better. I like the premise of it. But yeah, shout out to Taylor for putting that all together. We actually went, our reservation originally was at 7, and we ended up going at 10:45 instead, because Amanda and David had prior obligations with like their Amanda's mom and dad-in-law. They did like an escape room right before then. But what was cool, and it actually worked out, because you only get the bubble for like an hour and a half. But since we were the last people there, we got to close out the bar. So like we were there for a good 2 hours and 45 minutes, I think. We tried to DoorDash Taco Bell to our little bubble. It didn't work. Trying to get DoorDash at like 1:30 in the morning does not work. But besides that, it was pretty chill. We watched a lot of spooky YouTube videos yesterday. We follow a lot.
Beat another game.
What's that?
I say you beat another game.
Oh, is that this week? Yeah. We beat It Takes Two finally. And that is a banger. I think I gave it a 9 unofficially last episode, but I would probably up that to a 9.5. My only criticism is that there's so much buildup to like what you expect to be like this grand ending where like it's just like some meaning of life kind of shit, but it kind of ends a little suddenly. But
are you talking? Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree.
like it builds itself up so well and the storytelling is so good. And then you beat the final level and it's like,
Like the final cutscene is kind of like, oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone that might want to play because I'm recommending it to a lot of couples that actually listen to this, but fire 9.5. Literally, my only criticism is like a few glitches here and there and the way the story like ends. It's not bad. It's just like I expected a little bit more.
You were saying Casey thought it was a 10 out of 10, right?
Yeah, she actually cried at the end.
Which
I
part?
was close. It was really
Like
moving.
the very, very end, or like the
Right, not the very end, but like the end of the
level?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I could kind of see it. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. But
Most
it was
iconic moment, the elephant scene.
the elephant scene. Oh gosh. That's oh gosh. I almost forgot about it. Like right at the end of the game, I was like, wow, I can't believe they did that. Like
The most traumatizing scene involving stuffed
was
animals.
I think they even put in the credits that no animals or stuffed animals were harmed in the making of the game or some
That's
shit
pretty
like that.
funny, actually.
Yeah. But final score for me, 9.5. So it has a 9.5 from both Ursula and I think.
Cool.
Fire stuff. Highly recommend to any couple that has a Xbox One, PS4,
and
PS5.
literally anything.
Literally any, yeah. Any console made in the last like decade. But yeah, that was my week. Kind of long-winded, but it was really fun.
Yeah, for me, what did my week entail? I would say not much. Honestly, I was kind of like relaxing this week because I have my like kind of like classes starting this next week or like literally tomorrow. So I was like, I'm gonna chill and relax this week. I didn't play any games this week, so I had nothing to add to the checklist on that end, like you guys. But I did watch most of Witcher season 2, which is not very good.
I'm glad I didn't invest much time into it. We tried watching the first season and it was mid, I thought.
I didn't even try my dad watched it. My parents watched so much Netflix and he was like, yeah, it's just all right. And I was like, well, if you think it's just all right, then I probably am not even gonna bother.
Yeah, like I'll just say this, like about that show, it's like, okay, from someone, okay, I played like Witcher 2 and 3, which if people don't know how it works, the it's in chronological order. It's the 5 books, the 5 Witcher books, and then the games are actually sequels to the books. So like I've technically seen the end of the entire story, and I know like where it's gonna go and how it's gonna end. So it's kind of weird watching the stuff that sets way before everything, because you're kind of like watching all these pieces being put into place and you're like, oh, I know exactly where this is gonna go for this, and I know like this shit does not matter at all. Like and also like this is a perfect example of like the game's writing and characters are just better. The show is just very confusing.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, the show does not really know how to really juggle all the characters and source material that's trying to in an efficient manner. Makes it really confusing, honestly, to follow. Even more to me, honestly, it was, I don't know. I was just not invested at all. And the only reason I was watching it was because the 2 people I'm living with wanted to keep watching it. Honestly, I would have probably turned the show off after. I probably would have stopped watching like halfway through the season. I don't know. I'm saying this. Witcher 3 is one of my favorite games of all time, and I'm really do not care for this show. So there's that.
Damn.
Yeah. But here's hoping the Uncharted movie does Uncharted justice.
Yeah.
Looking at the
Yeah.
next one.
Oh, I'm sure they're real optimistic about how many tickets will be sold, considering they're giving away a free ticket if you buy the new Uncharted fucking bundle in 2 weeks.
I was actually, Casey and I were looking at the Great Collection and thinking about playing through all the games just to have another game to play through or just to have another thing to watch.
I mean,
But
when I was originally trying to get Tana into games, the first batch of games that we kind of played through, I mean, obviously we played through Last of Us 1 first, but then from there we went through the next two games we kind of went through concurrently were the Uncharted series, like Uncharted 1 through 4, and Grand Theft Auto 5.
oh
That
damn.
was like the first set of those three series were really the ones that I used to get Tana into games. But yeah, I mean the Uncharted games are like pretty easy. Like Uncharted 1, if you're just running through it, you can probably beat in like 5 or 6 hours, honestly.
Oh wow.
If you know what you're doing for 2 and 3, you can get those done in like 8. 4 probably goes up to like, it's probably on the higher end, it's probably like 13 to 15 hours. So none of the games are really that long.
I might have to cop that remastered trilogy from you, Andrew.
Isn't it on PlayStation Collection?
Uncharted 4 is, yeah.
Yeah, Uncharted 4 is not 1 through 3.
Oh,
Yeah, they're not. But the Legacy of Thieves collection is only 4 and Lost Legacy, John. It's not 1, 2, and 3.
Wait, no, I was thinking of the other one.
Oh, yeah.
It's like $10 anyway.
Yeah,
I should just buy
I can give
it.
it to you. I the only one out of those that I wanted to play was 2.
Yeah, that'd be worth paying $10 alone.
Because Uncharted 3 is in the awkward spot where Last of Us 1 is, where it like has modern-ish controls, but it just like kind of plays like dog shit. But like 2 still plays really well for some reason.
Yeah, there's actually this controversy back in the day about, for some reason, people were pointing out like, for some reason, Uncharted 3 feels like weird, like worse to control or play than Uncharted 2.
Yeah.
And it was like a big deal when Uncharted 3 came out. Like everyone was like bitching about it. Like everyone was like, why the fuck is it like, how is this like, how does it feel worse when it's the sequel?
Yeah. That's weird.
I mean, I still think Uncharted 3 is a great game. It's just obviously like a come down from Uncharted 2.
Yeah. Uncharted 2 is like top 10 for me. I freaking love that game. Yeah, it was so good.
I remember putting in so many hours on the online of that game, which is funny because it wasn't like anything.
I did too.
It's not like it was something super in depth or anything. It was just fun to play.
The Uncharted 4 multiplayer was really fun. I remember you and I put a decent
John,
amount
you need
of time
to
into
finish
that.
Uncharted 4.
I know. I think we're gonna go back. We might actually do that before GTA.
I need to do it.
I mean, Uncharted is just like an Indiana Jones adventure, you know?
Yeah, I think what's the only hesitation we have is Casey's never seen Indiana Jones. And I'm like, what? Yeah.
None of them?
She's never seen Indiana. No, apparently not.
Jesus.
So.
Isn't it funny how Uncharted is like supposed to be like the video game Indiana Jones, and now like there's a video game Indiana Jones, or there's an Indiana Jones video game being made, and people are saying it's Uncharted but for Xbox.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, and Uncharted is better. Uncharted 2 is better than any of the Indiana Jones movies. So
I saw them so long ago that
Uncharted 2 is a god tier.
The train sequence is the best gaming. Honestly.
Yeah.
Dude, how come every legendary sequence in Uncharted involves a fucking train or like a caravan or something? Because like in Uncharted 4, I will dance around it, but like the iconic train also is.
Well, I've avoided spoilers for almost 7 years.
Yeah.
6-7 years.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe we might have to do an episode on Uncharted, one of the Uncharted games.
Yeah, we should do it. Then I get the motivation to replay it and just finish out the plot.
Yes. Get that boy.
Fucking sit at 84% completion.
Yeah, and the Uncharted series in general just holds a nice place, like a nice warm spot in my heart.
Some of the first video games.
Yeah, seriously, it's like the first series I played on PS3. Like it's not as deep or complex as Last of Us, but you know, like just a fun, enjoyable ride.
The action, it's just so good.
Yeah, for real. Like it's what put Naughty Dog into that upper echelon before Last of Us. But anyways, getting off of sucking Uncharted's dick. Where did we even come up? Oh, okay. I was saying how I actually have no hope for that movie, but I do have hope for The Last of Us movie, a TV show, because I actually think that could be pretty good. But besides that, I went on a hike yesterday. It was actually a pretty good hike, like middle ground. It wasn't like awful, and it wasn't like too easy. It was like 2 hours, 2.5 hours round trip. It was like a 4 mile hike. It had a really steep elevation increase at one point, but when you get to the top, I put on my Instagram story. People saw it. The top is called Tom's Thumb. It's supposedly like a really iconic place to go hike at. There's plenty of those here in Arizona. I mean, that's something like Andrew could probably also attest to. He did some hiking out here.
Yeah, there are a lot of good hikes.
Yeah, and honestly, I want to get more into that this year. That's like one of my things on my New Year's agenda, I guess, is try to get more involved with everything Arizona has to offer, because I've really been in like this Tempe bubble for a little bit. I mean, Tempe is fantastic, but I do want to like kind of explore a little bit more. I think I might be going down. I think me and my friends are talking. We might go down to like Puerto Penasco or something like that. Go down to Mexico, just because it's like a 3 hour drive down to Mexico.
Damn, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. So I might do that in the coming weeks, but I also want to go skiing up in Flagstaff. So trying to create like a bucket list, because my friend, I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast, but I have a friend who's also a listener, so you might be listening to this at some point of the pod. His name's Jim. He's out here doing like rotations for like clinical rotations, and he's just staying out here for a few months. So we're gonna try to just be as adventurous as we can, because Arizona has a lot to offer, honestly. So, and the surrounding states. So
that's really fun.
Yeah,
it forces you to do some fun shit. Get out of your comfort zone. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly, which I like. Yeah. So really, honestly, been watching Witcher, which is not that great, and went on a hike, and I mean, watched obviously the movie that we talked about, but also was kind of on the hype train for an album that came out this week. Getting into our current events. We're not going to review this album. We're going to save that for next week because we are all huge fans of this artist. But I guess I don't even know where to start for this. I guess, this Monday, or this past Monday, or maybe even Sunday, The Weeknd pretty much announced that he was going to be dropping his album. That he wasn't going to do like a big extended rollout, and that is going to come out this Friday. So I don't know. I guess maybe, I don't even know if we want to share initial thoughts on this. Like
I was thinking John, just like how the rollout went.
Yeah, John, do you want
light speed rollout?
Yeah, do you want to talk about this, John?
Well, I really liked how he rolled this one out, and I think it makes sense without getting too into it, like how the album is and how it was put together. I think it was a really good album rollout, because like After Hours, I feel like has a lot of really, really good standalone tracks, and Dawn FM for me is like a very well put together album. Like,
don't spoil it.
Yeah. I'm trying not to get too into it, but the rollout made sense, I think. Like, yeah, and basically what it rolls down to is, I think that the like rollout made sense without putting out a bunch of singles or 2 or 3 singles. There was just I believe just Take My Breath had come out before the actual album, and then the extended cut, the Snyder cut of Take My Breath had come out a few months ago too. But like, he was releasing videos every day this week on like the track list, and like a teaser trailer, and then like an official trailer, I'm pretty sure, like and they were all really cool. I really like the vibe of it, and yeah, I mean, I already gave it 6 listens. I have a pretty good thoughts on it, but like we said, we're gonna give it a week, because like it just came out. It dropped Thursday night at 11 p.m. on Amazon Music, which was really interesting. Like, he did
Amazon Music. Oh, you're talking about the live stream.
Yeah, the live stream.
They're talking about Amazon Music, like the actual music platform.
No,
fuck it. Does anybody actually use Amazon Music?
Exclusive. It's a title exclusive album, guys. No, but he streamed the album release, which I thought was really, really cool. He did literally a concert, mini concert for it.
A DJ event, essentially.
Yeah, and he was dressed up as an old man. So I thought that was really fun. But I've given it 6 listens, 6 or 7 actually at this point. And it's really good. I'm gonna keep my thoughts short, but I thought the rollout in general was really good, considering like we didn't have to wait months for hype. It was just,
I think,
one single, and then I was surprised that Moth into a Flame or whatever wasn't like on
because
the
that's
album.
a Swedish House Mafia song. The Weeknd is featured on that.
Oh, I thought it was Weekend and Swedish House Mafia.
It might be, but
It is.
Oh,
It
okay.
is. But
I think Swedish House
it's-
Mafia is like the leading artist.
Yeah.
right?
They are.
Oh, gotcha.
You know
I'll
how
just say-
like fucking Calvin Harris is the lead artist on all the songs. He just makes the beat for, and he's not even like singing in. That's basically how it went.
When I met you in the summer.
What, you're telling me that's not Calvin Harris, bro?
Wait, dude, what? Wake Me Up isn't Avicii singing? What the fuck?
Those Avicii vocals.
Yeah,
I'll just
I
say
like
this
it.
about the rollout. I think it's good he didn't drop a second single based on like what the album is. I mean, I'm trying to keep it vague, but I think I don't think an extended rollout like After Hours would have lended itself well to this album,
I agree.
because I'm gonna just very vague. I don't think this album has very obvious hits besides honestly the 2 songs that he's dropped videos for at this point. Keeping things very general. So I think if he had some extended rollout, I think he would have exhausted the album's value out a little bit. I don't know if that makes sense.
I agree. Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to allude to without like getting too into it.
Yeah, but that's all I'm gonna say. I mean, the album's here. I've listened to it like 3-4 times. Not as much as John so far.
I know Andrew's listened to it just about as much as I have.
Yeah, and I mean, we've had already a few good back and forths IRL.
Yeah.
And who knows, we might
Friday was interesting. That's
Yeah.
Who knows,
A little bit of debating.
You might get a sneak peek of that. You might see that come next episode.
I mean, we're gonna rank the albums, so it might get a little heated. Who knows?
But hey, if you know, however passionate we get, it's because we're passionate about it. So
we're passionate about The Weeknd. I mean, he's the fucking Prince of our generation, or Michael Jackson, or Beatles. Like he will go down in history as like the greatest artist of the 2010s and 2020s probably. But he's got an insane run.
Andrew,
and this album is no different.
Any thoughts on the rollout?
I mean, I liked how it was light speed because I hate having to wait fucking ages for albums to come out. Like, I remember John was like, "Oh, he's gonna release a single, and then it's gonna be like fucking March when it comes out." And
That's
then,
what I
like,
was thinking.
And then literally the same day, The Weeknd was like January 7th, and I was like, "Yeah."
That was hype. I was super happy about that.
That was a good way to start 2022 for music for sure.
I agree.
Then, I don't know if I don't have Apple Music, so I can't see the charts, but did any of the Weeknd songs actually beat out any Gunna songs?
No, not one. I was surprised by that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually not too surprised because Apple Music in general is more the way I've seen it really work is Apple Music is a lot more hip hop oriented and Spotify is a lot more pop oriented.
I'm gonna look at the charts on charts quick.
Yeah, if there's a new big hip hop specific album that comes out, it's gonna take over the top charts on Apple Music, no doubt. Even if
Spotify
it's not like Billboard, like it'll take over Apple Music.
Yeah, Spotify.
Oh yeah, look at Spotify. Sacrifice 1, Gasoline 3. Is there someone else? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 20.
Interesting.
24, 25, 26. So the whole album is within the top 30,
Yeah,
including
that's
the
not the
interludes.
case. I don't think that's the case for Apple Music. I think it's like top 50 though.
Yeah, Sacrifice is the number one on Spotify right now.
It's a fantastic track.
Sacrifice, Gasoline, Is There Someone Else, How Do I Make You Love Me, Out of Time, and Take My Breath are all in order. And then some fucking Encanto movie.
Yeah, dude, Encanto's fire. Highly
We don't
recommend.
talk about Bruno.
We don't talk. You've seen it?
Come on.
Have you seen it? It's so good.
No, I haven't seen it, but I've just seen like the song.
Memes.
Like, oh yeah. The
We don't
like-
talk about Bruno because he's real. Yeah, it's good.
yeah,
It's really
but
good.
enough of
Highly
the weekend. We'll be talking about him for hours next week. Going on from there into actual like some news that's pretty much all in the gaming space this week. First of all, PSVR2. We've talked about it before, but it's been officially announced at was it CES 2020?
CES.
Yeah.
Is that the Consumer Electronics
Consumer
Show?
Electronics Show, yeah.
Okay, wow, I got that up for shy. Okay,
Yeah.
so it came. They went ahead and announced it. Yeah, I'm just gonna read off some specs, just so everyone has an idea. For what we're exactly getting with this thing. It's a 4K VR headset, 2000 by 2040 per eye. The display is going to be OLED. The refresh rate is going to be going up to 120 hertz. The field of view is going to be 110 degrees. It will be corded, but it will be a single cord setup. And obviously, it's going to be the main device it's going to be working with is the PS5. It's going to have new controllers called the Sense controllers, which thank God, because I'm pretty sure the PSVR 1 used the fucking PlayStation
Move. Those are the
The
worst,
PlayStation
dude.
Move.
God,
Yeah.
those fucking suck.
They did.
It's nice to see PlayStation move towards like this whole Sense line of products. But I mean, just like we kind of have like a photo like I'm looking at where it's this chart between some of the other headsets, and actually 2000, like the 4K resolution is actually really high. It might be the highest on the market right now, because PSVR 1, obviously that was a 960 by 1080 per eye. But then you had Oculus Quest, which is 1832 by 1920 per eye, Valve Index 1600 by 1440 per eye. And there's some things that the other ones do better. Like I see Valve Index's field of view is actually 130 degrees. And the Valve Index's refresh rate can go up to 144 hertz, but like for reference, the display on the Valve Index is LCD instead of OLED, which OLED is much better than LCD.
Right, especially when you're that close.
Yeah, and then obviously there is a cord, which the Oculus Quest 2 does not have, but Oculus Quest 2's specs also are kind of just decreased across the board, because it is like everything you need is built into the device. So yeah, that's kind of a comparison. I mean, obviously in all aspects, it's an obvious increase from the PSVR 1 specs. But I guess heat check on this one. How are we feeling about this? I'll say this: I definitely want to get it, because I think now that the VR space has had a few years to kind of marinate. I mean, we have gotten one all-timer in the VR space now. Like Half-Life Alyx, people have saying praises about, and I really, really want to play Half-Life Alyx. I would love it. I would not. I genuinely think that's going to be on PSVR 2. But obviously they announced like a full-fledged like Horizon VR game. That's coming out. And I think they said it's not like on rails or anything. So I'm, like it's actually like a full-on game like Half-Life Alyx. So, they are committing to that VR space. And I mean, VR, I don't know if you guys have ever used VR, but VR is like really, really cool.
I've used it specifically for Beat Saber.
I've always wanted to play Beat Saber.
It's fun it's hard at first, but it's really fun.
Yeah. So I guess, So I want to share actually. I have two very different experiences with VR. One, I was in Tokyo and I was at a VR amusement park. So it was like going on roller coasters and like walking across skyscrapers and doing all these different like VR activities. It was really cool.
They're in the
And that was
metaverse already.
yeah, seriously. That was like that was some metaverse shit right there, bro. But that was in Tokyo. But my other experience with VR was at my where I went to undergraduate or did my undergrad and that was Creighton University. And there was a psych experiment. And in the psych experiment, I had to wear a fucking VR headset and like try to defuse a bomb like in VR. And
Damn.
this was for a psych study, and I had no idea what the psych study was even trying to test, like what the point of it was. But I think maybe to see like how you perform under stress or something. I don't know. I did not defuse the bomb. I got blown up.
You blew up.
Ratio.
Yes, I blew up ratio. But no, I'm excited for this device. As long as my financials are good, I will probably pick it up. Because I did want to check. I honestly did want to get the PSVR 1, but I felt like there wasn't that like that must-have game on it. I think if like Half-Life Alyx is on here, and if that like Horizon VR game is really good, like I think if Half-Life Alyx is definitely on here, I'll definitely be picking this up. But and I have a guess the price range. The price is probably going to be 500, 400, 500. If I had to guess.
I feel like they have to keep it to 400.
Yeah, but so I guess one, I want to ask you guys, what's your experience with VR, if anything? Two, would you get this? And are there any stipulations to like what circumstances you would have to get it under? And three, what do you think the price is going to be? Since I kind of just covered those three bases. Andrew, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I have zero experience with VR except for well, okay, I have experience with VR, just not like ones that actually run off of a computer. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, but the Google Cardboard thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When I was a freshman, me and my roommates used that shit all the time to play like horror games on our phones, which is like really cool. I've never used like an Oculus or a Vive or PSVR or anything. If there's a game that like really looks interesting, I would probably be compelled to buy it. Like you said, also depending on finances, because obviously this thing's not going to be cheap in any sense of the word. I mean, if it has like a killer game, I'd get it. I don't. How much is it? Do you know how much the PSVR 1 was?
It was
It's 400.
400 originally, yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of a lot of money. That's like only $100 less than a fucking PS5. So, yeah,
Now
we'll
it's
see.
like 300, I think, 350.
Well, yeah, but the new one's gonna be more expensive than the original one, probably.
100%. That's a guarantee.
So we'll
I don't
see.
know.
We'll see. I don't know. We'll just have to see when it comes to the consumers, we'll have to see what the situation is.
What would be the franchise that you would want to see that would get you to get a VR device? Any franchise besides Pokemon.
Probably.
Wait, isn't Pokemon technically VR now, right? Can't you?
AR.
Could you do?
Pokemon Go is AR, not VR.
Okay, never mind.
I don't know. I mean, I think it would be cool to have like Uncharted on VR would be sick. I think that would, or like Last of Us or something. Like if they like made a VR mode, or even like
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, if like the new GTA had like PSVR like compatibility for the first person, that'd be sick.
Oh, isn't they're making San Andreas for VR, right?
Oh yeah, it would have
Yeah.
to be some kind of like I mean, Last of Us and Uncharted are like well, okay, Last of Us and Uncharted are like linear, but they're linear in the sense that like you could pull off VR with them still. But like an open world game like GTA would be like kick ass on VR. So, I mean, any of those if they were like and if it was actually good, like because the first person like mode on GTA 5 like in all honesty fucking sucks. But like if they made it good and made it work really well with VR, I'd be definitely intrigued in getting one, because I mean playing with the controller only gets you so far. But like if you were actually like doing everything like a VR mode, I think it would be pretty sick.
I wonder if getting into a car crash would like make you throw up.
Probably, yeah. Also, speaking of GTA, that first person mode, I could definitely see Rockstar just being like, yeah, we made the first person mode VR. We did change nothing. It's still 15 FPS and looks like dog shit.
Yeah, that's the main thing is like the frame rate. They gotta have it.
Will
be high for GTA.
forever will hold me back from ever getting a platinum trophy on GTA because there's no way I'm playing 15 hours of fucking first person mode.
Oh yeah, that's a trophy. That's a
Yeah.
shitty trophy.
Dog shit.
What about you, John? What is I guess those 3 questions?
I am super excited for it. Casey and I both wanted to pick up PSVR like this holiday season, but I was Googling around and there were rumors of PSVR2 coming out soon. And I knew that PSVR was like okay. So I was like, I'm just gonna wait. I'm glad that we did.
I mean, it's probably coming out this year, I would assume.
Yeah, it is. It is coming out this year. It's probably gonna be like fall or like holiday, like November. But it's funny, I actually got to play with like the original, I think the Oculus was the first one. I played with the very, very first VR headset in like 2012, like in like this high ability learning shit, or like it was some school program where I don't even remember what it was called, but it was like with some of our genius ass friends like Ben Giebelhausen and Bo and Cody.
I remember that program.
Yeah, and we actually used a VR headset through that, like at this I want to say it was like the freaking Space Center, the Offutt, no, not Offutt, gosh, the one, Andrew, what's that space museum?
The SAC Museum.
Yeah, I want to say it was at the SAC Museum that we used it.
Isn't that what it's called?
I think so. Yeah, it has to be. I'm like 90% sure. But that was my very first VR experience. And then I've used like the phone ones, and those are okay. But what made Casey and I really, really want VR is we went over to, like, we used to babysit these kids, Michaela and Tony, every weekend. And for Christmas one year, they got an HTC Vive, and we used it for Beat Saber, and we played like Five Nights at Freddy's or something too. Yeah, but Beat Saber was freaking legit, and like the controllers and the vibration made it so like immersive feeling. Dude, I would get a $400 VR headset just for Beat Saber. Like, it's amazing.
Beat Saber looks so fun. I've always wanted to play it.
It's so fucking fun. Highly recommend playing that if you have a VR headset. But I think that the PSVR 2, like, I mean, Sony's already done one. I think that the second one's going to be a banger. I think they're going to learn like from their shortcomings on the first one, mainly the resolution. It was definitely hindered by the PS4. Honestly, they probably could have just waited on VR until the PS5 came out, because PSVR is like, what, 2.5 years old, 3 years old, maybe. But no, I think it's going to be $400. I really do. I think the PSVR is going to go down to $300, and I think VR2 is going to be $400, because I can't imagine them matching the price of the PS5. That's just I feel like that's just bad marketing to make it the same exact price as the console that everyone's complaining they can't even get their hands on. And plus, PlayStation and Sony are no strangers to losing money on their hardware at first, until like until like they start selling enough and prices of the parts get cheaper and shit. But I'm really excited about the Sense controllers, because with how immersive DualSense itself can feel, I already know that these controllers are going to be like out of this world. Like, yeah, I'm super excited. Yeah. No, I'm super excited. We're probably gonna pick this up. Like, I might even pre-order this if we can, if we're in a financial position to do so, but we probably won't be. Maybe
I
if we
figure it's
fall
gonna be
into
easier
some
to
money.
get. I figure it's gonna be easier to get than PS5 itself. I mean, obviously it's a more niche market. Not every, but
I don't know. PSVR itself was really hard to find. Like when we were on a VR kick after playing Beat Saber, we couldn't find PSVR anywhere.
oh shit.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
even like NFM, it wasn't there. Like
Maybe I'll have to. Yeah, maybe I'll be ahead that some.
PSVR as of an article at April 1st, 2021 was at 5 million units sold.
oh, maybe they just didn't
But
make that many of them.
Sony stopped reporting the numbers on it January 1st, 2020.
I forgot to mention this. I think the most interesting game and one of the easiest to pull off would actually be like Gran Turismo. I
I'm
think
pretty
the
sure
new
it already
Gran
has,
Turismo-
it's already PSVR compatible.
Really?
Yeah, that's
Oh, that's
sport was
hype.
Yeah,
compatible.
sport is.
Oh, well then the new Gran Turismo with those Sense controllers and like having dude, it's literally like the Wii. Like
Metaverse.
everything comes back to the Wii.
I really have just like to kind of veer off on Gran Turismo. I have a hard time seeing that Gran Turismo 7 is going to be like worth it.
I don't think it will be. I wish that they would just steal the Forza formula. No one would care.
Why the
No
fuck
one
did
would-
they do this stopgap sport? Like GT Sport, like what the fuck? Like I don't
GT
know.
Sport was mid.
Yeah, it was mid as fuck, and this game looks the same.
Yeah, they haven't really innovated since like Gran Turismo 5. And even
Gran
that,
Turismo
like
stale question mark.
it is.
I've never
No
gotten
doubt.
into GT.
I did really hard on PS3 because Gran Turismo 5 was like groundbreaking visuals. Like it was fucking insane to look at.
Yeah, it
like
looked
every
amazing.
game since has looked the fucking same.
Exactly. Literally, like you could boot up
It was
GT5 on PS3 and not even know it's a PS3 game. Like you'd
It's
probably
so
think
funny.
it's PS4.
Like just kind of on a GT tangent. Like they put out like Polyphony Digital put out like like comparison screenshots between GT Sport and GT7. Like, oh, this is what the graphics looks like in Sport, and this is what they look like in 7. And I shit you not, I could not tell the difference between the images. I was like, is this one of those spot the difference photos? Because I can't do it.
And what's crazy is like you mentioned that, but like Forza Horizon 5 legit looks like real life, like on the Series X and on a Series S, or not Series S, on the Xbox One S, it actually kind of like looks like last gen compared to the Series X. So that's kind of disappointing to hear. I didn't even see the screenshot comparisons, but
Polyphony.
polyphony. Yeah,
But-
they just need to like copy the Forza formula. I would not care or be mad
Yeah,
if they just
and
copy
Horizon.
it.
I mean, Horizon has been doing open world for years now. It's not like they just like 5 is the first open world game. It's like they've been doing it since fucking like when Xbox One
360.
first came out.
No,
Yeah.
the 360.
Yeah, it's like, come on, Polyphony, time to fucking catch up.
Literally. That's the one PlayStation franchise that's like behind.
Yeah, for real.
The one.
And that's like Forza is so much better. But going on from there, these next two we'll kind of speed through. But there's a story that actually came out from Game Informer. I always love these deep dives behind like the making of, or like behind, when shit goes wrong at studios. I always think it's fascinating reads. The Game Informer put out an article about how Bully 2 pretty much like ceased to exist originally. The article is interestingly called "The Bully 2 That You Will Never Get to Play," which almost seems like they're alluding like that there is a Bully 2 that we will get to play, but the one that they talk about is just like it doesn't exist anymore. Pretty much like the article is talking about how Rockstar created a new branch called Rockstar New England. Back around after GTA 4 came out, they were working on Bully 2, and pretty much a lot of the immersion creating mechanics that are in Red Dead Redemption 2 now, like kind of made or originally were like conceptualized with Bully 2.
Oh wow.
Pretty much, yeah, and pretty much talk about how like Bully 2 ceased to exist because Rockstar like I guess Red Dead Redemption 1 was in a terrible position. Like they needed all hands on deck to fix Red Dead Redemption 1. And they did. And then from there, people just got pulled onto Max Payne 3 and GTA 5. So people were just slowly getting pulled off Bully 2, and no one was there to work on it. And then Bully 2 just kind of stopped being made. So I guess I just want to ask you guys, like, do you like want to see Bully 2? Like, would you like what if, like, theoretically, what if there's secretly Bully 2 is, back to being worked on and we haven't gotten official confirmation on it? Would you want to see a Bully 2 before Grand Theft Auto? What's your experience with Bully 2? Because I played Bully 1, and Bully 1 is like amazing. Like Bully 1 is so good. It's literally just Grand Theft Auto, but like in a school environment, and it's so fun. Andrew, I think you played it. I don't know if you
I
have
have never played it actually.
You never played Bully?
I've never played Bully
uh-uh.
either.
No,
I watched.
I keep seeing that Jensen, shout out Jake Jensen, has been playing Bully like nonstop on PS4 every time I'm on. I'm like, God damn, I need to. I want to play it. I mean, it's only like $10 on the PS4 store. So.
I honestly, like, this is gonna be a hot take. Like in terms of like actual playability, like I actually, out of all the Rockstar PS2 games, that was the only one that I was actually able to beat. Because the missions weren't like obnoxiously hard after a certain point. The game wasn't like super, super long, like some of the like San Andreas is. Bully 2 is so much fun. I actually think Bully 1, Jesus. Bully 1 has aged really well. And I've always wanted to see a second one, but I don't know, like John, like I know you never played Bully, but like what is the idea of like Grand Theft Auto, but like in a school environment, like sound to you?
I actually like, I don't know. It's interesting because I actually did I watched a playthrough, like PewDiePie did a playthrough in like, I don't know, 2013 of this game or something. And I watched through it and I thought it was really cool, but like, to me, it just didn't seem, I mean, it's a PS2 game, right? Like it came out in the PS2 era, but it didn't seem like super crazy to me. I don't know. Like, I feel like I wouldn't be super interested in it, but like a next gen version of that, I don't know. I mean, the sky's the limit. I know that you like went around on a skateboard, but it seemed like the world was somewhat small. But I guess, I mean, like,
Yeah,
not every game has to have a huge open world to be good.
Yeah, it kind of had that like that fuck around factor that some of the older GTA games have, where you just run around and just act like a jackass.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but yeah, the game world was super small. Like it was like the school campus and like the surrounding town around it. Like pretty much like imagine the size of like Bennington, and that's like the open world.
Yeah.
But like an actual town instead of like whatever the fuck Bennington is.
It seemed like there was a lot of fun like mechanics to it though.
So, yeah, like there's a slingshot like that you could use, that like that was the main like projectile weapon. Like you have to go to classes and like pass the courses, and like all the classes were mini games. Like it was really fun. Kind of makes me want to play it right now. Okay, well I guess yeah. So I just want to share that story because I thought it was interesting. And then from there going on, kind of want to get your thoughts on Omicron, because E3 kind of announced this week that they're going digital because of Omicron. Andrew, I want to get your thoughts on in general. Where do you see Omicron's effect on 2022?
Are you talking about like in general, or are you talking about E3?
Well, I mean, E3 is going digital, but I kind of wanted to like expand the horizon and be like, are we about to get like a 2020 part 2? Or like what are we looking at? What's your
I think if it's as mild as they're claiming it is, I think it will be good in the long term, because it will, I mean, kind of okay, not to get too political, but all these jackasses that from day one have been like, oh, it's just the flu, oh, it's just like the cold, like, yeah, that's what we can get it to. Like if everybody gets vaccinated and like Omicron is actually as mild as they say it is, then we can actually get to the point where all these people have been preaching it is since day fucking one. I don't think, hopefully it won't be a 2020 part 2, because I feel like with how rapid this is going, I feel like it can't last nearly as long as anything in 2020 did. because like I mean the USA has had like 1 million new cases like and just for like the lab tests and like for like a week straight now almost, which is like a shit ton of people. Not even counting like people taking at-home tests and people that are just sick and not even getting tested because they don't fucking believe it's real. But I mean, I don't think it'll be as bad as 2020. I hope it's not as bad as 2020. I guess it remains to be seen.
I heard someone's cat. Well,
yeah, that's my cat. He's trying to open my door.
Begging and pleading for you to open it.
He's not even gonna do anything. He's gonna walk out and then walk right back in because he's an idiot.
Cats hate closed doors.
I know.
Just the idea of a closed door.
Yeah, they don't like being concealed.
Little cat tangent. My cat would like freak out if the bathroom door was closed, even though he never goes in there.
Yeah, I remember when I was staying at your apartment when we were in Arizona and you guys were recording the No Way Home podcast. I kept hearing him scream and I would like go out and I'd be like, dude, come here, you fuck. Like
that's so funny.
But John, what about you? What do you think kind of the effect Omicron might have? Do you think we're going to start seeing like a lot of these events like E3 or concerts get postponed again, or or do you think we're going to kind of be moving like as a like business as usual kind of thing?
I honestly feel like it just depends on the state that it takes place in, to be honest. Like
yeah, that's a big one. That's like, actually a good answer.
Well, because like Casey and I watch on YouTube some like amusement park kind of videos, and like Disneyland in California, like you have to have a mask, but like Disney World in Florida, they don't give a damn. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. It seems like the Florida governor is like anti-mask completely, which is whatever. I don't know. I feel like we're almost like it sucks because it feels like we're almost getting to the point like vaccinated or not, you're gonna get it. Like everyone's gonna get it at some point, and it's eventually gonna be like the common cold, but like a very, very bad version of it. I don't know. It's kind of sad to see, and I'm not trying to get like too political or anything because it shouldn't fucking be political, but it's just interesting that we're heading in the direction that we are because it's turning into some like it's an endemic. It's never going to stop. So I think if like event organizers are smart, they'll try and contain the spread of something like this by going digital. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's going to end up being like business as usual. But these tech companies, I feel like are more, and again, it shouldn't be political, but I feel like they're more on the liberal end of things. So they're more apt to do stuff digitally. And it's funny because the digital, like presentations and stuff, they can put together better anyway. And a lot of people in the gaming industry are kind of cringe when it comes to presentations. So it's probably for the best that E3 itself is going digital. But I'm gonna miss the cringe factor of the live presentations because there's always a really good cringe factor.
And the other thing is like PlayStation doesn't even show up to E3 anymore. And like Nintendo does their main big direct on E3, but it's digital anyways. So I feel like Xbox and like small-ish, like smaller studios are like the only reason E3 even exists still.
Yeah, and honestly, like the golden, like I'll always like seriously sitting down in summer break during summer vacation, that week of E3, sitting down and watching those press conferences, like and seeing like even the audience reaction. That was like honestly something like not magical, but like maybe that is the right word. Like it had that X factor, you know. Like when a game got announced or something happened at E3 and there was a live audience and everyone's freaking out. Like that's something I'll definitely miss.
I still remember The Last of Us 1 announcement and 2.
Oh, don't forget the PS4 after following up the Xbox One.
Yeah,
that's an all-time.
Yeah,
that's an all-timer. I mean, that's like regarded as like the greatest E3 conference ever because they're just literally the whole conference is them dunking on Xbox One. People were having heart attacks in the audience. I was like having a seizure in my bedroom. Like
Literally.
That was like one of the most disrespectful things any company has ever done to another company in like public, like in the public eye. And it's like, you're gonna kind of miss the oh shit moments like that. Like, because now we get like like those kind of like stale voiceovers in like Nintendo Direct and PlayStation State of Plays. It's like, this is what's coming up next. Check this out. Like,
Yeah, highly produced.
Yeah, highly produced. Because you kind of like that like little bit of like improvisation and a little bit of like anything could happen, at these shows. Now it's like kind of like very controlled, which I'm gonna miss, honestly.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm really gonna miss the cringe factor, dude. There's always a look.
Like my body is ready, guys. My body is ready. We're never gonna get a my body is ready event.
No, it's my body is Reggie, bro.
Yeah.
My body is ready.
My body is Reggie.
I'm excited for E3 though, because gaming it's heading into
2022.
2022 is going to be insane. Splatoon 3, guys, let's go.
The most anticipated game, on the box, stamp it on the box.
Breath of the Wild 2 delayed to the Switch 2 announcement, probably. Yes. Unfortunate 2023 game.
Besides, I guess I'll say my thing. Yeah, I think I don't think there's. I think like I think some of the tech space is going to go digital, and I think some concerts are going to get canceled, but it's not going to be like 2020. I think people are just kind of sick of like this at this point because it's been going on for so long, and there's so much inaction. Also, I just came back from New York, and that place is like literally drowning in COVID. And I took a COVID test when I got back, and it came back negative, but I've had a cough that I have not been able to get rid of since I came back from New York. And like we do this on Zoom, so but I've been like having to mute myself every like few minutes just because I've had to cough. And
yeah, we've been exposed a couple of times and apparently haven't gotten it, but
yeah, I tested. I'm like, this is interesting.
I've also seen a lot of people with the whole CDC date change thing interpret it completely wrong and just be a complete dumbass about everything. So,
and then the
not
photo,
to name names, but if you're listening and that sounds like you probably know who you are.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
I will say publicly that person is an asshole, and if you know you have COVID, don't go anywhere. Like, you're an asshole. You should be charged for murder, attempted murder.
At least manslaughter. At least manslaughter.
No, but like
I kid. But seriously, you're a fucking jackass. Just care for other people. Like, have some fucking empathy or compassion. Or I don't even know what the fucking word is, but like
at the very least, if you know you have it, fucking don't go anywhere.
If you're sick, if you test positive and you don't have symptoms, and like, yeah, that's the 5-day thing. If you're actually sick, it's still 10 days. Like you're fucking sick. Like if you're coughing everywhere, like just rolling around.
You should have that basic decency like before COVID.
Well, yeah,
like
you should have that decency anytime that you're fucking sick. Like even if you have the flu or a cold or like
now it's like a statement that if you have any sort of sickness, it's like let me just cough on you.
Yeah, what is this? Are you trying to
prove a point? I'm gonna prove my freedom by getting people sick.
I got tuberculosis. I'm gonna go out and cough on people.
Show that you're a fucking alpha male by showing. Look at this. It can't defeat me. I can still go pound 16 beers at the bar. Fuck ass.
Dude, yeah, and I got a runny nose.
If this were TB, this would have been the Thanos snap for the US.
If this were TV, fucking like, hey, look at me, like, look at this. I have COVID. I can't taste or smell. I'm gonna go pound shots because I can't even tell they're alcohol, bro.
It's like, okay, you do you, depression.
The scary thing about the losing your taste thing is I heard like if there's people who have like lost their taste from COVID, right?
Completely.
Yeah, and like they still haven't gotten it back like a year and a half later, however so.
But like now Omicron, I heard Omicron, you don't even lose your taste or smell.
Oh my gosh.
Well, but I heard
COVID.
But I heard like people like now that like there's been like the way it's developed like now, like I was watching this video about this guy who lost his taste from COVID, but like everything tastes like has like a slight burnt taste to it.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's
Jordan had it last December, and she said coffee like smells like it tastes fine, but like it smells like shit. Like if she just like walks into a store like a Target and there's like Starbucks, she said it smells like kind of like gas.
Dude, one of the reasons I've never I've never gotten a positive test. I've probably taken 5 tests. But one of the reasons I low-key think I did get it at some point is like whenever I drink stuff, especially like juice, I've been drinking a lot of like Sunny D, Arizona tea, shit like that. When I sniff it, it smells like fucking wet dog to me. And I don't know why. And I've had that for like months where like juice smells like wet dog. So maybe I got it at some point and had no idea, or like tested negative and actually got it. Like I'm like I was almost 100% sure that I got it back in October, and apparently I didn't because I got 2 tests and they were both negative. But I don't know. It's never gonna end. And if this were TB, we'd all be
yeah.
Just wait until we get something worse.
Oh, it's on the horizon, I'm sure. And people won't give a shit because I've already had it. Well,
I want my freedoms.
Yeah, it's whatever.
I'm just gonna run away to the metaverse.
I'm running to the metaverse. Take me to the metaverse.
Yeah, speaking of the metaverse, meta.
That is an old name. Facebook, the platform created by Mark Zuckerberg.
Something that you can refer to as a social network.
Some would even say it is the social network.
Okay. Perfect transition. Let's leave the current events behind and let's go ahead and get into the main topic, the social network.
Podcasts and web shows are on the rise, and for good reason. They're great sources of entertainment and can be great listens in multitudes of situations like long drives or intense study sessions. Maybe, just maybe, you have an idea for a show or podcast that you want to put out into the world. Well, lucky for you, it's never been easier to jump into podcasting thanks to the wonderful people at Anchor.fm. Anchor takes care of most of the back-end work of podcasts. No more are the days of coordinating releases on multiple platforms, paying for a podcast hosting subscription to hold your RSS feed, or other hassles. Anchor sets up your podcast on all the major podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple automatically. They even provide sleek and easy-to-use editing tools that can be accessed from your phone or computer to get your podcast to the world through the path of least resistance. Anchor also matches you up with sponsors so that you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and even gives you in-depth stats for your shows like total plays, regions of viewership, as well as what kind of devices your show is being listened on. Here's the best part about all of this. It's free. So what are you waiting for? Anchor has everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. If you're ready to add your voice and vision to the mix, it's never been easier. And I highly recommend you go the way of Anchor.fm, just like the ControllerCast did. So here you go. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started. That's Anchor.fm.
All right. So today's topic of the week, as we just mentioned, is going to be The Social Network. Now, Social Network is a 2010 film. It was directed by David Fincher, which this was, when it was announced that he was making this movie, it was kind of a departure from a lot of his other films. He's known for making like Zodiac, was it like Seven, Fight Club, a lot of like crime kind of films essentially. But so a lot of people were kind of like thrown off, like he's making a movie about Facebook, what? But yeah, this movie came out and received large amounts of acclaim when it first released. Just for reference, it was nominated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It was nominated for 8 Oscars, won 3. So it was nominated for Best Achievement in Sound Mixing, Best Achievement in Cinematography, Best Achievement in Directing, Best Actor in a Leading Role, Best Motion Picture, Best Achievement in Music, Best Achievement in Film Editing, Best Writing, and it won Best Writing, Best Achievement in Film Editing, and Best Achievement in Music, or like Original Score. And actually, I think a lot of people say that this film is an example of the Oscars actually getting it wrong for Best Picture, because the movie that won Best Picture that year was The King's Speech, which no one gives a fuck about 10 years later.
Never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's boring as fuck. But yeah, so kind of just building up just kind of the conversation around this film. So I actually hadn't seen this movie not until not very recently, but I'd say probably a few years ago. I always wanted to see it, but I didn't when I was younger, because I think it's rated R. And I think I was just like, it came out when we were like 11 or 12 originally. So it kind of stopped me back then from seeing it. And then just one of those movies that kind of fell off my radar. But I always wanted to watch it. And then it finally, I think, got on Hulu or Netflix. And I think back in like 2018, I watched this movie for the first time. And honestly, I've watched this movie like probably 3 to 5 times. And honestly, this film is kind of, it really blows me away. I think this movie is actually like fucking amazing. And it's actually crazy for me to think, like, originally, like, walking out of that film, because it's a movie about Facebook and the creation and the really messy creation of Facebook. It's not something that you think would be an interesting film, but it ends up being a really interesting film. And a big part of that is how fantastic the editing in this film is, and the screenplay in this film is fucking like masterclass. And both of those things really carried the film. And I was really like paying attention to that this time when I watched it. Because I was like, like when we're going to talk about this movie, like, yeah, there's certain scenes we can refer to about like why this film is great, but it's really like on a really technical level, like how this film is put together, I think, that really makes it excel as, I think, one of the best movies of the past decade. Like, this movie could have done the exact same plot, exact same scenes, and if they edited it in a more like regular fashion, a more standard fashion, I think it would have lost a lot of its charm and a lot of its like forward progression. But I really, really love this film. And I don't know if I've said this on record, but it is honestly not one of, if not my favorite film of the 2010s. I absolutely love this film. So that's kind of my initial thoughts. But what about you, Andrew? And then we'll go to John, because this was John's first time watching it. But Andrew, take it off.
Now, my experience is kind of similar to yours. I heard of it and I knew about it, but like, obviously, like you said, we were like, what, 2010? We were like 12 when it came out. So
yeah,
and it was like, and I mean, even after that, even when I was, of age to like be interested in it, I just was like I don't really fucking care about Facebook, so like I don't think this story would be interesting in the slightest. Which then when I watched it last year, I was like, holy shit, this is like a really good movie. Like, this is like, the actors do a great job. Like, it tells the story very well. And even though it's like a movie and there might be some like aspects of it that are like dramatized and like not as realistic as it actually happened, like I think just the whole it's like a movie that I could just like turn on anytime, just kind of like chill with it, like watch it. Because like I went over to my parents last night for dinner and they were actually watching it, and I was like, damn. And I just like sat down and watched like the last half of the movie, and I was like, shit, this is some good stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think the idea of it sounds like it'd be super boring, because it's like, well, like, who gives a shit how Facebook was created? Like, it can't be that interesting. But the way the movie is executed makes it seem like an insanely like entertaining process, and how everything was set up. And like, the movie does a good job, like you said, like the way it's set up. If it was just set up, not like flipping back and forth, it definitely would not have the same impact. But I think this movie is fantastic, and I'm glad I finally ended up watching it last year, because now it's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, I actually really like this movie, and like Ursula said, I saw it.
What
For the
were your
first time.
expectations coming into it, would you say?
Honestly, I really wasn't like, I know this is such a bland answer that we use all the time. I didn't know what to expect coming into it. I really didn't. I was just like
It's about a social network, and that's what you got.
and that's what I got. Like, no, I didn't think it would be so focused on like the legal aspect of building the company. I didn't think that it would go back and forth. Like, I figured it would be like a chronological story, and that was a little jarring to me at first, actually. Like, I don't think I realized it until like 20 minutes in or so that it was going, like, it wasn't chronological. But I really liked it, honestly. It wasn't like, at first watch, I don't think it was the most interesting film in the world. But I think it was very well done in the story that it told. Even though I hate Zuckerberg, and this movie is not going to make you like the guy. like if you thought this movie was going to make you like Mark Zuckerberg, you're wrong. But I really liked it. Like, it was just really well done. I really like the way it was directed, and like the visuals make it feel, it kind of lends itself to how you feel about Mark Zuckerberg anyway. It's like kind of dark. It's almost got a dark tone to it, and
it has like a very yellow color palette.
Yeah. Even like my background right now is
yellow.
It was really good. I really didn't think that it was going to be as well done as it was, but I knew that you guys really praised it, so I was excited to see why you guys thought that. Now I kind of see it. Mostly for me, it was just like, yeah, I mean, we'll get into it, but the direction was really good.
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to, like, because you mentioned it, I just want to touch on this as well. I think, we always talk about it, but I think this is technically an astounding film. I think for some reason, I don't know if you guys felt this way, but like, it really gives that like feel of like, and I don't know why, like, I feel like it's easier to understand if you've been somewhere in the fall where it's cold. And I don't know how this is going to sound really weird, but like, to me, it gave off really that vibe of like like you're at college on campus, like, and it's like the fall, it's cold. It's those cold fall nights. People are just like, that opening's kind of like Crawl, where it's just him walking through Harvard's campus, and it's just kind of like, just showing life on campus at night and everything. And I don't know, it kind of played, this film has like an atmosphere to it. It's kind of like hard to describe.
It does. Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to allude to a little bit.
Yeah. And I think the soundtrack and the visuals like really play into that. But I think also, like, kind of what I was saying earlier, like something we don't really touch on that much. I know we really like dial in on the cinematography, because we all really appreciate cinematography in movies, but which this movie, it does have really good cinematography, but the editing in this film is fantastic. Like, seriously, like, this is like honestly like a top 5 like screenplay, top, like, that I've ever seen. And like, if people are curious, like, when I'm talking about screenplay, I'm not talking about the script, like what words are coming out of these people's mouths. It's like how every scene is built, and how every scene transitions into one another. Because this film is like, I guess we can talk about we could probably start off with the structure of this film. It goes back and forth between what's actually occurring in real time with like the creation of Facebook, but also how the people in these legal situations, essentially 2 different lawsuits, Zuckerberg v. like Winklevoss, and Zuckerberg v. Sovereign, like how those 2 suits are playing out, and how the people in those lawsuits are, how they interpreted and viewed certain conversations and situations playing out in real time. So it's really interesting, because you'll cut between these scenes playing out and how the characters, felt about those scenes. And then we kind of go back to that scene playing out with like the knowledge of, this is what this character thought of this interaction. And it's like a very interesting way that I honestly haven't seen many films, if any film, play out like that and that sort of dynamic. And I feel like that's also like why it keeps that forward momentum. You know, it's not just like one scene after the next of people like sitting in like an office space, like working together. Like, oh my god, the relationship status, like it has those moments, but it intercuts it between this like kind of high tension like legal background, like this legal situation that really adds the stakes to the whole story. And I guess what did you guys think of like the structure of the film, like the back and forth? Because I think that's like really the like X factor of this movie is like how this film is edited and how it's like put together.
I thought it was like, well, like I said at first, I didn't catch it really until like 20 minutes in. And then I was like, oh, okay, got it. But yeah, I mean, if this movie were just front to back, like just chronological and they didn't go back and forth, it would definitely cut from even the emotional aspect of it. Cause I feel like you really root almost for Eduardo over Mark Zuckerberg. And there were moments where I felt like, okay, Mark, like, yeah, like I want to see you win. And obviously we know he does, but like, well, not necessarily the case, but like he wins as, you know, becoming this billionaire.
Becoming the
entrepreneur.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Becoming the Batman.
This is how I win.
This is how it begins. But yeah, it definitely plays into the emotional aspect of it because it really like as you said, it'll cut into like a pretty emotional conversation in a room of lawyers where, you know, Mark's, and the acting is amazing, like just the facial, down to the facial expressions of the characters. What's the name of Mark Zuckerberg's actor?
Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah, Eisenberg does a fantastic job with his stupid facial expression. Not stupid. I just his mannerisms are like very nerdy in this, but like it's perfect for his role, and it really like it adds so much. It's just like this movie doesn't need to be big and bold necessarily to get its points across. It's so subtle. It does everything so subtly, but it's so well done. And like when it cuts from like this emotional legal scene to like going and showing what actually led up to that specific point being brought up, it's just damn, like this movie could have been a fucking train wreck if it wasn't edited perfectly. Literally, this movie easily could have been a train wreck. They either could have it probably would have been a boring movie if it was just start to finish. You know, you're right, Ursula. It's like that X factor. It really is the X factor of the movie. Like this probably would have been boring if it was just from front to back exactly how it happened. But going back and forth between what was going on that led up to that conversation in the legal room, it's so good, and it really makes it emotional. I don't think it would really be emotional as much, or like you wouldn't care as much about the characters themselves if it didn't do that.
I agree that like the way it switches back and forth gives it more emotional weight because like you see like how it played out, and then you see like the current day reaction to like what actually happened, like as they're explaining in like all these depositions and arbitration and all that stuff, like how they're describing it, and then seeing like, you know, how that actually like affected them and how they react to it like, you know, years later is something that's very interesting. And I'm trying to think of like a movie. I know there's other movies that like switch back and forth between like somebody telling a story and then like it showing like parts of the story they're narrating. I just can't think of them right now. But like I like that direction because it's like you get it playing out how it was in real time, and then you also get like the person's like the whole thing is their recollection of it, but like then also how it like affected them in present day when they're telling the story in the movie. And I think if this movie was just the whole playthrough without like these back and forth and back and forth, I don't think it would hold the same weight. And I don't think I would like it as much. I think that's like something that makes it really unique in terms of like thinking of movies that are like unanimously regarded as like really good movies or like even great movies. Like I feel like that switching back and forth is very unique to this movie specifically. I'm sure there's others, but can't think of them right now. Like just going through like what I would consider great movies, I can't even think of one.
And it adds like
structure.
it adds that interesting dynamic to watching the actual events unfold, because you're watching essentially like Zuckerberg, the Winklevosses, and Eduardo, like all kind of trying to like one up each other in that legal space, and watching how they can twist and explain certain events that how they unfolded into ways that can like benefit them, like like the chicken story, or like, just like how everyone views the circumstances differently, and how like it all kind of goes back to like how things actually played out. One thing
It's
I
really
want to,
cool. Yeah, it like just gives every character its own, like it really plays into the character development too, because you see how everyone views things. And I feel like it's rare in movies to like have that many almost protagonists. Like it literally, like it really gives every character a chance to like explain themselves essentially. Like there were even moments where I was like, yeah, maybe the Winklevosses are like, maybe they've got a point, but Mark also has a point. Like,
I think this film, like I guess like going into the characters, like, and this is kind of like a good segue, where I guess who do you kind of find yourself rooting behind the most between those three parties? Because I think this film actually took a really interesting direction where you see a lot of these movies about like these quote unquote like made it stories, like these biography films, where they're really praising the person it's about, right? But this movie does not do that. This movie, like, genuinely, in my opinion, the villain of this film is Mark Zuckerberg, and I think that's a super interesting direction that this film also took. To me, honestly, like I said, or John, I think mentioned, the character I'm honestly rooting for throughout the whole film is Eduardo's character. He's honestly like through the whole film, like he's always got like Mark's back. The only time, like when he does lash out against Mark, in my opinion, I feel like it's genuinely pretty justified in a lot of circumstances.
it feels like Frodo v. Samwise to me. Low key.
And like one thing watching it this most recent time, like for me, was like made me realize was like, bro, there's not a single scene where Zuckerberg's character, or like Mark Zuckerberg is like not like just a raging asshole to Eduardo. And Eduardo's always trying to help this dude out. And like Mark is, and even if Mark does say something nice, it's always backhanded in some way. Or like there's some sort of underlying like way that you can kind of view that maybe he's trying to take advantage of Eduardo's like resources. And really this film kind of just paints Zuckerberg as an asshole. And like I said, like this whole film, I'm rooting for Eduardo, to be honest, through the whole film. And I think that first of all, Andrew Garfield in this movie also, I think it's fucking amazing.
I was really surprised by that.
Yeah.
Honestly. I don't know why I always kind of thought of him as like a B tier actor, but like
no,
he was really good in this.
I mean, like he's been nominated for a few Oscars at this point, and like he was nominated for a Golden Globe for this film. And this is to me is still my favorite Andrew Garfield performance. He's had some really good ones, like in Hacksaw Ridge and like Silence. I heard he's really good in Tick Tick Boom, which just came out this year. Obviously Spider-Man he's in too. But I guess, yeah, like what do you guys think of the film kind of really portraying Mark Zuckerberg as an asshole? And like, yeah, who do you guys like kind of root for, get behind in this film? Because to me, I feel like Eduardo almost could be argued as like the protagonist who gets fucked over, like even though it is kind of like Zuckerberg is like maybe the main character, I'm really rooting for Eduardo. Winklevosses, I also can kind of like root for them, like where their validity, where like the film is clearly trying to make the connection, the Harvard connection is like a precursor to Facebook. And I can totally see like why that lawsuit even played out. And obviously there was a settlement that they talked about in the end, but yeah, who do you guys kind of root behind, and what do you guys think of this film kind of like approaching Zuckerberg as the villain?
I definitely am rooting for Eduardo. Okay, in the first part, you kind of want to see like Mark, this like lowly, like nerdy asshat, just like succeed, because it's like kind of cool, like seeing it evolve from like just a blog all the way to like the Facebook. But
Face
like,
smash.
yeah, face smash, and then going like actually he's kind of he's still kind of just like a dick like the entire movie.
I mean,
Like,
the
no
first
matter
scene of
what's
the
going
film.
on.
Remember the first scene of the film where she's like, I want you to know, girls don't like you because you're like, it's not because you're a nerd, it's because you're an asshole.
Yeah, and he's a complete dick like basically the whole movie, but you kind of still want to see him like succeed, because it's like, this like, oh, we need to buy servers, and like it starts out really small. And then I mean, once you get to where the undisputed villain, fucking Sean Parker, comes in,
Oh yeah,
and
I can't believe
everything
we
just
forgot about
goes
Sean
to
Parker.
shit for fucking Eduardo, which makes you feel bad for Eduardo, because like he gave Mark all this money at the start. They were like had huge shares of the company to start, and then by the time Sean Parker gets done with this fucking scorched earth tactic, fucking Eduardo is just like fucked. He's just screwed out of like basically everything. And I mean, speaking of fucking Sean Parker, JT played that character so fucking well to make him. I mean,
Yeah,
from what I've read, Sean Parker is a massive fucking douchebag in real life. But like the way that JT like portrays him, like makes you actually like I was getting like actually like angry watching how much of a piece of shit that guy was. And I mean, he's obviously the villain in the story, because he's the reason for he's the reason for Mark's success, but like by that point in the movie, Mark's like almost a villain as well. So
he's like the devil on Mark's shoulder.
yeah. So then it's
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say that too.
yeah, then they're like both the villains, and you feel like Eduardo's the one that got fucked. So I mean, I think all the actors do an extremely good job of portraying those characters exactly how it sounds like they actually were in real life. Just based on like doing like light research after, just kind of like seeing like how those people actually were in real life. And it sounds like the actors pretty much nailed exactly how everybody was in real life, because JT plays a douchebag extremely well. Jesse Eisenberg plays a fucking nerd extremely well, and just kind of like this guy that's smart but he's very quiet. And then Andrew Garfield plays his character extremely well too, just like, because there's like, I guess we'll probably get into it, but like the best scenes in the movie are where Eduardo's in them. Like there's so many good scenes with Eduardo in them.
Yeah. Or I guess, yeah, John. Maybe you want to go into like the dynamic between all these characters, and
Yeah,
obviously
honestly,
Zuckerberg's portrayal.
I really like. I'm sure it's not talked about much, but I thought the Winklevosses did a really fucking good job. Like it was kind of funny to see the like oppositeness between the twin brothers. Like one of them's like, nah, let's let this be. Let's just chill out. It's fine. We're the Harvard men. We're like,
Yeah.
we're Harvard men. Like we can't be giving everyone the impression that we're just trying to sue for money and that daddy's money is going to save us. But I mean, they end up going after Mark anyway. And it's like,
Let's gut the nerd.
It's crazy. You feel, even for Mark, I feel like you feel for every single character in this movie to some regard, but you also dislike every character in this movie in some regard, except for Eduardo. He's just like, he's actually just legitimately a good person at the end of the day. And it's sad because like Eduardo, literally, like you guys said, he's always been Mark's friend. He was Mark's really only friend in this entire movie. And it really seems like that Samwise fucking Frodo relationship where like Mark's getting just totally enveloped by the Facebook, and he's like getting totally taken over by the potential success of it. And Eduardo's trying to help Mark, see what's important. And like Eduardo wants to help himself and help Mark and make this successful. but Mark's just like, nah, fuck you. Like Sean Parker's got this idea. And what the hell? Like, this is the one thing I didn't really understand is why is Mark so, he's so like in on Sean Parker. He's so in on, and that's why like, I almost like refer to it as the Sean Parker effect. Like it's the devil on his shoulder, but like, why, what made, I don't understand why Mark resonated so much with Sean Parker. Because like in the beginning, Mark wasn't even looking to make money. And Sean Parker was like, this is going to be huge. You're going to be billionaires.
Well, you
and
can
then
just
Mark was like,
tell. You can tell by the way he goes around to investors and stuff that Sean Parker is just a fucking smooth talker. Like that's probably why he got to Mark, because he can talk his way out of fucking any bullshit and can just like slide his way into any deal he wants, basically.
Well, and it wasn't until the end, like closer to the end of the film, where Sean Parker's like, you can have any girl you want. You will never remember. Because that's why Mark did all this in the first place, is because he, you know, had that falling out with his girlfriend. And it wasn't until later in the film that Sean Parker was like, you'll never remember her. You know why I started?
Yeah.
But
I didn't even like connect that.
But when they first meet, it's like Mark's just like, oh, I love this guy. And it's not really 100% clear why. Maybe those were like, no,
I think
it would have been the cocktail meeting first and then
the
club scene. But
to me, I feel like the thing that really makes, you know, like I was saying, like it makes, you know, Zuckerberg's like portrayed as the villain in this film. And I think what Sean Parker did to Zuckerberg was, I think he really played into Mark's ego and really like built that up and played off of that, you know, like it's not, you know, because
like, yeah, you know, Mark, you are a fucking rock star.
yeah. Like pretty much playing into like, you know, like for what the movie, I think, right? I think there's a few things that are definitely open to interpretation about like how, who's in the right, who's in the wrong, right?
Sean movie Parker is Gollum. Sean Parker fucking Mark's Frodo. Eduardo is Samwise.
But like it feels like, you know, it was never, you know, like you said, about the money for Mark. It was about like being cool. And it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because it's like, yeah, Sean Parker kind of helped take the company to new heights, but you kind of fucked over the guy who was trying, like it's kind of like you can view it two ways, because Eduardo, maybe you could say he was viewing things like at a smaller scale. You know, he didn't have that big idea of that $1 billion valuation that Sean Parker brings up. But he's also the guy who's trying to make it work, you know, like, and like, you know, like literally, like he quit his he talks about he quit his internship, and he's literally been running around New York for the whole summer trying to get advertisement, like, you know, investors. And it's not like
15 hours a day.
Yeah. And I think Sean Parker, you know, like the devil on his shoulder, like kind of convinces Mark that Eduardo isn't doing anything, when Eduardo is. It's just that Mark isn't helping Eduardo do anything. Like, you know, how they went to those advertiser meetings and Mark pretty much fucked him over.
Yeah.
And that's like
an asshole.
And I've like heard that's a real thing, that like even like when Facebook was doing its like IPO, like Mark would just show up to like shit, like uninterested, like he would be in his pajamas, like he, you know, like he just did not give a fuck, essentially. And we see that.
Nobody could anybody be more unworthy of heading a fucking $1 trillion company than Mark fucking Zuckerberg? Fuck that guy. Like, fuck him in real life and fuck him in this movie.
Well, like I've seen some things online that were like, oh, he shouldn't be judged for his actions in his 20s. Are you kidding me? Everybody is. Are you kidding? Like, by your 20s, you should kind of start to have things figured out and know not to be a total dick to everyone you ever meet. But I don't know.
That's also one thing. Like, yeah, Andrew, what you're saying, JT did an amazing job playing Sean Parker. Like, that was also like, I did not know JT had acting chops, and he definitely has acting chops. Like,
yeah,
he did a really good job.
Yeah, because he's usually in a bunch of those shitty ass rom-com movies.
Yeah.
Fucking like this, like pinnacle of fucking 2010s cinema.
And I honestly feel like I would love this film even more if like it maybe leaned a little more into Eduardo's perspective. I feel like this movie does a pretty good job of balancing everyone's views. Like like we get like a lot of like scenes with the Winklevoss twins. We get a lot of scenes with Zuck, but also like I mean, I just think Eduardo's character is like the shining beacon of this whole film. In terms of like this is the guy you're rooting for. And yeah, he just gets fucked over and you like can't not feel bad for him, obviously, until like, there's to me, like the best scene in this movie, which we obviously like put it down here, is when he just explodes at the end. This is what me and Andrew were mentioning, like an explosion.
Before I watched it, I thought they were literally talking about an explosion, and I was like, what? Like maybe like the original Facebook headquarters had a gas leak or something. Like that's what I was waiting for the entire time.
And honestly, like that, like seriously, just watching this film and like obviously knowing what happens at the end, like how he gets fucked over, just like watching this film and seeing every interaction between Eduardo and Zuckerberg, like I'm like, bro, I'm surprised that he stuck around and was this supportive of Mark for this long. If this is how their relationship was like, because this dude, it is so one-sided, and like he just completely like dicks him over. Obviously, he dilutes his shares, and it's like such an obvious thing too. It's like also double-edged sword. You could view it as like Eduardo was like, he should have done his like homework and he should have like not just signed papers, but it's like also he was saying like, I thought those were my lawyers because this is my company that I'm working for.
Exactly.
Like it's like totally makes sense. It's like a very human fuck up on his part. But seriously, like when he snaps at the end and literally just, storms across the Facebook floor and like just destroys his computer and like just, pretty much does this amazing monologue.
Stop, Mark's in the zone. Smash.
Yeah.
He's wired in.
Oh yeah, wired in.
Yeah, he's wired in. That whole monologue is so amazing, and it's honestly like it feels so deserved as well, because it's like this dude has just gone through so much shit this entire film, and he deserves that moment where he can just go off on his final like send off to Sean Parker, where he just makes Sean Parker look like a total bitch, and then also like him just finally going off on Mark about like pretty much everything, like unloading all the bullets off onto like Mark at the end. It's like honestly like perfect. Like Andrew Garfield is so good in that scene, and that's like one of my favorite scenes in a movie ever too. So like it's such a simple scene, but I love it. But I guess what are your guys' thoughts on that? I feel like that's a scene that a lot of people gravitate towards when they talk about this film. But
it's fucking iconic. I mean, even people that have never seen the actual movie have seen like that clip in some capacity, because it's just like it's like an insanely thought out and well acted like little monologue. And I mean, people like even meme about it. Like I was watching a video that's like Andrew Garfield reads like thirsty tweets about himself, and there was one, and it was like, I want like Andrew Garfield to whisper "lawyer up, bitch" in my ear and smash a laptop on my tits. Like people think it's fucking hilarious.
But yeah, that's like an iconic line. He's like, "You better lawyer up, bitch, because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything."
Yeah, that was
yeah. It's one of my favorites. Like one of like the best scenes. Like I think I've ever actually seen. Like it's just like so iconic, and everybody like. If you have seen this movie, that's like the most memorable scene from the entire movie. Is just the eventual like fallout that you knew was coming eventually, and then he finally just blows up on him.
Yeah, I love to see it. I just because you really do root for Eduardo. I think most people would in this movie, and like I was honestly thinking, because we all know where Facebook is at. And especially this being my first time seeing it, I was like, oh my God, Eduardo literally is going to get screwed. Like he's not going to get anything out of this. And I thought it was just going to keep going, because everything goes bad for Eduardo. Like he is just constantly shit on. And to see him finally get his moment and like just put Mark Zuckerberg in his place finally, like it was really cool to see. Like it was just like the perfect cherry on top with all the shit that Eduardo went through, because he was there since the beginning. Like they were like Eduardo was Mark's only fucking friend, and he was treated like shit. And he was like, all right, well then screw you, asshole. Like I'm taking this company. And obviously we know he didn't, but like he did get his due, I feel like, considering what he put in.
Yeah. And I mean, like, just like for the aftermath of this whole like movie, obviously. I mean, it's kind of interesting to get an idea of where everyone has gone since this film. Not the actors, but like the people they portray. Like, obviously, we know Mark is still with Facebook. Facebook is now Meta. They're trying to move toward the metaverse. But actually, funny enough, the Winklevoss twins are also very big players in crypto space. They have a net worth of about $7 billion still. And they,
Wow.
yeah, and that's because of crypto. They're invested in like some of the biggest like crypto and NFT marketplaces. Like like one of the big ones, Nifty Marketplace, or Nifty, something like that. Nifty Gateway. That's like a huge NFT marketplace, and that's like funded by the Winklevoss twins. There's another one. I'm trying to see what it is because I was just looking it up. Sorry, just kind of off the cuff here. Oh man, what is it? Okay, I can't find it, but they're heavily invested in the crypto space, and they've done very well for themselves. Like I think it says Forbes estimates that each twin currently is holding 1.4 billion in cryptocurrency.
Jeez.
So they've been honestly able to kind of move forward, and they have. It's funny how both the Winklevoss and Zuckerberg are in the crypto space now. Eduardo, his net worth is 20 billion because he still has ownership of Facebook, like minority ownership or something like that. But he went on to go like start like charities and things like that.
What a great guy.
Yeah.
What a great guy.
Like Aporta is one that he started. He started some like a logistics company, it looks like, in Singapore. Like he's been pretty low key, but he's honestly like still so fucking rich after this whole lawsuit, because he did get a payout. He did get
like 665 million, I want to say.
Yeah, which has turned into billions now. Right now his net worth 18.3 billion.
Damn.
So I mean, like, he did win at the end of the day. He did get his name back, like placed as a co-founder. And then obviously Mark Zuckerberg's net worth is like hundreds of billions. But I think that's one interesting like little tidbit to share, like where everyone ended up. No one clearly lost, because everyone walks away with millions of dollars.
Yeah, no one's working a desk job.
Yeah. I'm curious what happened to Sean Parker.
He's still got bonkers money. He helped bring Spotify to.
I forgot he was behind Spotify. Like he was a big player of Spotify.
Yeah,
and
so
in one way or another, he got the music industry to be more accessible.
Yeah.
As much of an asshole Sean Parker was, like, he is actually like a big player in literally the history of music. It's kind of crazy.
He has a bunch of philanthropy
and Facebook
things now.
Yeah,
and Facebook. Wow.
He created Parker Institute for Cancer Immunotherapy in 2016.
He's like, I got to do one good thing. No, I mean, what he did for music was really good. He's just and
he's just an asshole.
I wonder if he is that big of an asshole, like, or he just happened to be during this part of his life.
I think it was probably during that part of his life. He was probably just a huge dick, because I mean, he's probably just like
just full of himself.
Like
he's in his early 20s, and he was a like almost billionaire. Yeah, that's
so I guess final question I want to ask everyone is like, what do you think this movie's like legacy is? Like, how is this movie aged? I know John, you just seen it, but like, this is a movie that was made in 2010. It's clearly like showing the beginnings of Facebook, and I mean, like, look at what Facebook has become now, like, and where Facebook is headed. Like, how do you view this film as kind of like this really does feel like like I was joking with Dana, like this feels like a real life like villain origin story, And and it's such an interesting like period piece almost already, because of how fast technology is moving. Like it does feel this period piece, this encapsulation of time, but this like super interesting, amazing story of like how potentially the biggest company in the whole world, not necessarily in like value, but like how encapsulated it is into like every aspect of society, how it came to be, and really kind of like the really messy beginning. And honestly, I think this movie has just aged better and better because, it's not like this movie came out and 5 years later, like Facebook got MySpace and Facebook just kind of just fell off the face of the earth. Like Facebook is still huge and it's not getting small. Like it's not going to get any smaller, and I think this movie's relevance in terms of like understanding maybe how Facebook, how it's become this big deal, how it really arrives from such small beginnings of like, it was just kind of, it built off of like kind of like a hot or not thing, like it was for college students at Harvard, and now it's become this like international thing that connects really all of us.
Global.
Yeah. How has this movie aged? Because I think this movie has aged like fine wine, honestly. And then so yeah, how about you guys, we share that and then we can get into our final thoughts.
I just think it's insane, like where, like you said, it's like it's almost like it ages better as time goes on, because the bigger Facebook gets, the more jarring it is where it came from. Like it really does kind of make you feel like anything's possible, almost, even if you're a huge dick. Like anything's possible. And I mean, with Facebook evolving into Meta, and it's I can't even imagine how big it's going to be when it really like goes all in on the internet V2 basically. But it's just, it honestly, like as time goes on, I think it will get more interesting just because of where it came from and how big Facebook is getting. Like I thought it was crazy at the end of the movie where it was like, oh, Facebook's now worth $25 billion. And now it's like almost $1 trillion company, if not already $1 trillion company. I think it will age even better as time goes on, but I think it's aged really well. And not only like just for the subject matter, but like, I think, I don't think there's a lot of movies that are this well done with how it's structured. I don't think that a lot of movies since this have done. And I can't, like Andrew said too, I'm in the same boat. I can't really think of any movies that go like back and forth like this one does, but obviously they aren't good enough for me to think of it off the top of my head. But I think it's definitely aged well, even though this is the first time I've seen it, and I'm excited to see it again at some point, relatively soon.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the fact that most of the movie takes place in like the past and like mid 2000s, I feel like they could release this movie today and I wouldn't even like notice any difference, just because like all of it happens in the past. So like even if it was like a movie that came out in 2021, I mean, if it came out now, probably wouldn't have the same actors. I think they were definitely lucky that they had these actors at the peak of their careers all at this time. Because I mean, I guess like Jesse Eisenberg like just like naturally kind of looks like Zuck, so like maybe he'd still be it. But like,
I feel like this was Andrew Garfield's like breakout role though.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely played the character great, and I mean, even Brenda Song's in the fucking movie, and she's like a complete psycho.
We didn't even talk.
I forgot about
that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's aged well. I think it's like a movie that could stand the test of time for quite a long time. Just, I mean, naturally, just because it's set in the past, so it's like hard to like see things like quote unquote aging poorly. I mean, I'll probably keep watching it every so often just because it's a great movie.
Yeah, but you're right, Ursula. If fucking Facebook just fell off like MySpace did, I don't think that anyone would be watching this still.
Yeah, well, like I guess we can kind of get into our final thoughts from here. Yeah, I think this movie is masterfully made. It's really interesting to see like a director like David Fincher like tackle like a subject matter like this. But honestly, he was, I think, the perfect man for the job. Seriously, I can't understate enough on an editing level, on a screenplay level, how fucking amazing this movie is. Like, seriously, you have to, like, it's, if you've seen this movie, rewatch it. Obviously, if you haven't seen it, watch it. And just pay attention to like how each scene is just set up, and how each shot, like how every moment in this film transitions between one another. And it's so well done. It's like actually like insane. Like, if you're really looking out for it, it's actually wild. Like how well made this fucking film is on a purely technical and editing level. Like I said, this movie could have been like very bland and boring. And the way this film is put together, on top of that, like the cinematography, even the soundtrack, like I love the piano score in this film. Like dun 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 the acting is all superb. This is Andrew Garfield's breakout role. Honestly, still my favorite performance of his. Jesse Eisenberg is perfect as Mark Zuckerberg. Literally, when I think of Mark Zuckerberg, I think of Jesse Eisenberg. I don't even think about Mark Zuckerberg.
I know, yeah.
And this film has just aged beautifully because it's just this like very interesting tale about this insanely large company, and like how really like how egos and differing perspectives and different visions and all these small things like created this really messy and interesting story. And it's just told beautifully. Like, I think it's a perfect example of like how you can take a story that might not seem really that interesting on paper, and really like if you know how to tell a story and really know how to like put together like this is like seriously like a perfect example of like, if you know how to craft something right and tell something right, you can make anything interesting. And especially this story is super fucking interesting. I think this is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's arguably potentially my favorite movie of the 2010s. I think it's aged beautifully. I just want to give it like a disclaimer, like the past few reviews, like Far From or Not From, No Way Home, like Parasite, like how do I describe this? I don't give out 10 out of 10s very it's not as often as maybe this podcast might make it come off as.
We got to start reviewing some like mid to like garbage ass movies.
Yeah. We need to start transitioning into that, because it's going to make me seem like I'm just giving everything a 10 out of 10. But really, like, these three movies are probably like half of the, like, I've probably say in the past 10 years, I'd probably give like 6 or 7 movies a 10 out of 10. And like, we just reviewed like 3 of them. So like, I just want everyone to get an idea of like, I really do not like give, like, there's probably like 15 movies that I would ever give like a 10 out of 10 to. And we just happen to review like 3 of them. So, and back to back. So like, just throwing that out there. So obviously I'm saying that up because I think this movie is a 10 out of 10. And I think this movie is fucking amazing. It's a masterpiece, and everyone should go watch it, even if they don't give a fuck about Facebook, because it's so fucking amazing. And the screenplay and the editing specifically, I cannot understate how amazing it is in this movie. Seriously, go watch this film. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and I have similar thoughts to ours. So I think this movie is like a right time, right place movie that's aged very well based on Facebook's success, especially now being almost $1 trillion company, or maybe they are over $1 trillion. I have no idea what their actual market cap is now, but it came out in a time when all of the main actors in it were like basically in their prime, or like for Andrew Garfield specifically, like hitting his stride basically. Making a movie based on true events, or like trying to follow a story of true events, doesn't always hit, because you have to make the events seem interesting enough to be on a screen. And I think like even like the kind of like more boring moments of this movie are still like extremely well written, and like you can feel the emotion and stuff in everybody's voice. And I think some aspects might be exaggerated. Like, I don't know if Sean Parker was actually that big of a fucking douche, but like the way it was written, you got the point that this guy was a huge problem and kind of wrecked Facebook initially from the inside out while they were still growing. I can't think of any other way that this movie could be presented besides this back and forth thing to make it actually good and interesting. I mean, they just knocked it out of the park with like, you know, here's what happened in the past and here's like the issues that are going on right now. I mean, it's one of those rare movies that I wish I could have seen like earlier in my life, like just because it's so good, and I can't believe I went all the way like a whole decade after it came out without actually seeing it, just because I was like, oh, social network, Facebook, don't really care, like it's gotta be boring. Mark Zuckerberg's a fucking reptile, like who gives a shit. But like now that I've seen it, like it's a movie that I could probably like, that I could even like just turn on in the background and it would be like, it's like a, you know how like people have those comfort shows, like you just like turn on a random show before you go to bed. Like I feel like this is like one of those rare movies that I could just like turn it on at any time. And like I think maybe it's because of how good it is, because like I could do that with like most of my top 10 movies. I could probably just turn them on like before I went to bed, just watch any random part and be like satisfied. But yeah, just to like wrap it up, I mean, the acting is phenomenal in this movie. The screenplay is phenomenal in this movie. You know, it doesn't have like a standout like movies, like a score by any means. Like it's just like the sound is done really well, but it's not anything like Parasite, for example, or like Dark Knight or Interstellar. Like you can pick out specific tracks that I'm like, fuck, like I listen to that in my free time. But like this movie doesn't really have anything crazy. I mean, I think it's a great movie and like the cinematography is like the kind of like the cinematography, not for the camera shot specifically, but like the filters and like kind of like the color tone of it seems really like mid 2000s, I guess. And I mean, everything's super, super cool. And I know, John, you mentioned how it was like really cool that it was on like a college campus, like kind of that whole setting, especially us being like so close to like so closely removed from being in actual college. Like I feel like maybe, like I said, I wish I would have seen it earlier, but like earlier meaning like when I was like in college still, just because it like kind of had a cool vibe like that. But I mean, in the end, it's a origin story, you know, Zuck begins. And it's a fantastic movie, and it's written well, it's produced well, the screenplay is perfect. But yeah, I mean, we got to start reviewing some shit movies, because I mean, this is getting a 10 out of 10 for me. I mean, it's a movie that I feel compelled after seeing it for the third time, like that I need to own this movie. And because there are very few movies, like I will own movies that I think are excellent, or like in like Detective Pikachu is like an all right movie, but like
franchises you enjoy.
Franchises I enjoy. I mean, it's a movie that I feel like I need to give it the honor of owning a physical copy of, just because of how much I love the movie. So yeah, I will be giving this a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add also, I totally forgot to mention this, and I wanted to say this real quick. Probably the best line of this movie, actually, drop the it's cleaner that way. Like in the film is called The Social Network. Like I think it's like super smart. Like the showing that this whole situation is not clean and it's super messy. I thought that was a genius line, by the way. I just wanted to throw that out there, and I wanted to mention that. But John, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but obviously, if you've seen this, even if you haven't, watch it, because the cinematography, and especially if you love shit like that, if you love masterfully made movies, this is amazing. The tone of the film was highlighted really well, I thought, too, through its direction. Honestly, my favorite part of the movie, though, is like how it wasn't clear at first who you're rooting for. I love stuff like that. Like you're rooting for Mark maybe a little bit at first, even though he's an asshole to his ex-girlfriend. Like you want to see him succeed and you want to see how it's done. But then at one point you might be rooting for like the Winklevosses, because you kind of feel for them, and he low-key did steal their idea, but also like they didn't do anything to execute. And then there's Eduardo, where there's nothing to dislike and he's amazing. but like he added so much emotionally to what could have been a very stale movie, honestly. And like Eduardo is what upped the stakes, I feel like, of the movie. His relationship with Mark, because like the legal battle and stuff, that makes the stakes high, but Mark made it pretty clear that like he could buy all of them easily. Like he's not super concerned about losing money necessarily. But like for me, it's not only the cinematography and how it was directed, but like the character development, I think, is some of the best that I've seen in a movie like this, especially. Like I would argue that the character development is better than like Wolf of Wall Street. Like it feels like that for me. It kind of feels like that movie, except definitely less raunchy. Like I never thought I'd be so interested in a movie like this, like about Zuckerberg. Like we've all said it, we think Facebook's kind of boring, and Zuckerberg is probably the most stale human being on the planet, because he's a robot. But like I love the legal aspect of the movie, and the directing is absolutely masterclass. Like I didn't think, for me, I do have a slight complaint, and it won't get a perfect score from me. I've only seen it once though, so that might be another reason why it doesn't necessarily get a perfect score from me. But I still thought, even though it was directed really well and the character development was amazing, and like, you know, there are multiple main characters that are done super well, and multiple storylines that are going on that are fit together perfectly. I did think that the subject matter at the end of the day was a little bit boring, in my opinion. But that's really my only gripe, because everything else, except for maybe the story line itself and maybe like what it was about, in my opinion, was done so well. But like just what it was about for me was just a little bit boring. But it was done in a way that made it so interesting, and I never thought I would enjoy a movie like this. But unfortunately, I can't give it a 10 out of 10 yet. And I don't know if I would give it a 10 out of 10 even after watching it again, but it's just so well done. I would still definitely give it a solid 9 out of 10. It was amazing. I just thought that the subject matter at the end of the day was a little bit meh, in my opinion, but it was just so well done that it was definitely still interesting.
And that brings our overall score to a 9.7. So there you go, guys. The Social Network, 9.7. Okay, there you go. That is our thoughts and take on this movie. Thanks everyone for listening. Happy New Year. I hope everyone's New Year resolution is going well. I know last episode was also New Year's, but I hope everyone's still on their grind. Keep grinding.
Just remember, it's about drive, it's about power. If you stay hungry, you will devour. If you put in the work and put in the hours, you can take what's yours. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or take what's ours.
Oh yeah.
We're all in this together. Okay.
Yeah. Shout out Terramana.
Shout out Terramana. But yeah, we will be back next week for a review on Dawn FM 103.5. Dawn FM, you've been in the dark way too long. It's time for you to come see the light. That's Ursula signing off. I will see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening, guys. John signing off. See you next week.
Andrew signing off. See you next week.